music for a little while.
Oh, you did?
Jenkins Music Store.
Oh,
Played a new program from there. And then we came out here. And, well, see, I was here 6 years and 2 months. Oh, Lord, it had to be closer to 10, 12 years.
I don't have any idea.
Because the network originated from here when there was 12 stations on it.
When you played in Cain's Ballroom, was it, were you treated as celebrities? Do you feel like stars when you're up there on the stage?
No, I don't think so.
No.
We just, most of the people, same people.
We were just good friends.
When you played here on Saturday night, for example, you'd look out in the crowd, there'd be people from Arkansas City, Oklahoma City. We never had a concentration of customers from Tulsa, if you understand what I'm saying. We always had full houses, but they wasn't all from Tulsa. They were from surrounding territories, and everywhere you played, that's the way it was.
We'd go to Oklahoma City, and they'd be from Shawnee, Tecumseh, Willita,
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
from all over. I got one I want to tell you about this bunch of good guys in the Texas Playboys. So I'll tell it first, then you can go back to your stuff. Are you fired up?
I'm fired up.
Now, this is the gospel truth. We played at Elmwood Park, 6 miles south of Oklahoma City. And the cafe of the Black Hotel was the only thing that was open all night. And we took turns. We carried everything on top of the bus. The guys had to, some guy had to load it up there and then pull the tarp back, see. This was my week to do that, see. And I noticed it's all being so helpful, you know, I wouldn't have to holler at somebody, you know, because everything went in a certain place. And as you get it loaded from the front back, you pull the tarp back and lace it down and had a letter, and then you tie it back there, you know. Okay, got it all loaded. Bob was in the bus. Got it all loaded, and I'm tying the tarp, and the bus took off. And I'm hanging on the ladder back there. We get about 2 or 3 miles down the road there, policeman on a motorcycle spotted it. And he come running up and burning on his little siren and everything and pulled up beside the bus and stopped the bus. He said, "You got a guy hanging on the back of your bus back here." And he took me around to the driver's door and said, "You fellas know this guy? Jim Robb, Frog." Every man in that bus swore they had never seen me, had no idea who I was. And the guy took me to jail. And they go on down to the Black Hotel and eat. After they had a good meal, Bob said, "Well, I guess we better go get Dacus." So they come by the jail and told them, you know, who I was. Got me out. But they all denied it, held a straight face.
Well, we had a lot of fun, though.
We made our own fun, but you couldn't get mad. If you got mad, boy, you didn't last.
No, that's right.
What did Bob Will sounds like a fun, upbeat guy, but did he ever get mad?
You're damn right he got mad at some things if you was ignorant enough to do something that made him mad. But normally, he was high-strung. Sure he was. Hell, yes.
Normally, he would not say anything to you on the bandstand.
No, that's right.
But one night in the park down by Lawton.
Oh, Madison Park.
Madison Park. That was, Bob had about 3 or 4 drinks. He didn't hear too good. And I'm sitting in a little bitty stand. And I'm sitting back there working like I was working on the pipeline, you know. And he turned around and he said, "What's the matter, Dacus? You getting tired?" And I slammed my drumsticks down on the stair. And I got up and I walked past Al and I left the bandstand. I went off in the other part of the big building over there. And I stayed back there. Pretty soon he sent Al after me. And Bob said, "Won't you come on back up and finish it?" I said, "You go back and tell him that he don't talk to me, because one thing I don't do is lay down." And so Al went and delivered the message. Al came back and said, "Bob said he knew that." Okay, so I come back and I finished the dance. That night we got on the bus. Bob was way back in the back, and I sat down up in the front seat. We just got started out on the road a little bit. Dacus, come back here, I want to talk to you. I said, Jim Robb, if you want to talk to me, come up here. Because I'm fixing to quit as soon as we get back to Tulsa. That's all I wanted was a ride back to Tulsa. He kept hollering at me. He said, hey, I'm right, man. Well, the afternoon before that, we'd gone to a ranch out here, the 31st, 44th, first out in there someplace, looking at some quarter horses. That old boy had a quarter horse colt out there, 2 years old. Beautiful thing. We all had horses. But he wanted $500 for that thing. He wasn't even broke, you know. And oh, I wanted, but you know, $500 for a colt that wasn't even broke. It just wasn't a thing to do. I went back there, and Bob put his arm around me. He said, I made a mistake tonight. He said, you know that little quarter horse buckskin coat we looked at yesterday? Yeah. He said, if you'll forgive me, I'll go buy that damn thing and get him to you. I said, you don't have to give me the coat. He said, I just made a mistake, that's all. I said, that's all it takes. It's the only time Bob ever had a crossword with him. And he knew right away he'd made a mistake.
Eldon, do you ever have any run-ins with him?
Yeah, I've had quite a few run-ins with him.
Yeah, but that's later on.
But that was later on.
Yeah.
But it was always when he had been drinking or something. Of course, I was handling the business part of the time, too, see. Of course, and it meant quite a bit to me to try to make enough money to survive, you know. Not for me, but for the organization. Yeah, Bob was, at times, he was a hard guy to deal with.
He was.
But I had a good understanding with Bob. Well, let's see, I don't know how can I tell. I was just gonna, it's hard to express the way he was. Because I used to go, he'd have a big hangover, for example. And you'd go up the room to wake him up to get on the bus so we could go to the next job. And it'd make him mad. Of course, he'd chew me out. He'd say, I said, Bob, you gonna make this job? Well, I don't know where I'm gonna make it or not. And he'd be madder than hell when I woke up. I said, well, I don't care where you make it or not. I just want to know, are you or aren't you? That's the question I got to have answered so I can call these people and tell them, and I'll be prepared for them, the promoters, you know. If you ain't going to make it, fine. That don't make a difference to me. But that's the way you had to deal with him. And he'd get this, he'd just blow his fuse like, I probably never will play another damn job as long as I live. That's what way he'd answer me. I says, I don't care whether you do or not. I'm asking you about this one. It's the only one I want to know about.
The thing is, everybody knew. Everybody knew. Frog almost idolized Bob Wills. But Bob Wills idolized Frog. And there was never any communication between them two about that. But it was that feeling, that respect that Frog had for Bob and that Bob had for Frog. And nobody else could have done it but him.
Referring to Eldon as Frog, and you say everybody in the band had a nickname?
Well, yeah, there was Frog, and there was Shadow, and there was Ears. Yeah.
Who were each of those men?
Well, Ears was Leon.
Had them big ears, you know.
He's 16 years old, all arms and legs and ears. And our friendship started, Jack, Leon and I. Most people think that he and Al's gone, but they're not. They're with me every day. And when he came to work in the band, I came up with a remark, he could fall over a broom straw in a 60-acre field. And that stood for about 40 years till somebody said, Smoke, I believe he can fall over a puff of smoke. But he came to work, he was so awkward. And we'd go into a cafe, and that's when they had 4 tables, you know, and they brought you a glass of water. Well, we'd be 3 of us there, and then Leon come in the door, and he'd fire that empty chair, see. And we'd all grab our water, we'd get back away from the table and wait till he sat down because he turned over everything to us. And Drum Right, Oklahoma, particularly old Daddy Cain's, what was originally Cain's ballroom dancing was started in Drum Right. Stage was about 18 inches high. Leon had that old dobro. And when he had to play chorus, you know, my Bob would let the mic down and Leon would go up there to the mic and play his little chorus. But everybody was always bringing us case Cokes. We'd drink our Cokes and we'd pass them along over there. And they'd have them all rolled up around Leon's feet. And so Bob would give Leon the course to let the mic down, and Leon would start out there, and the Coke bottles would go flying all over you know, and we did that to him, you know, till we was giving the kid an inferiority complex. And I was the oldest one. I sat down one day, I said, boys, look, we got to cut this down. The kid can't help it. He can't help it. So I took up for him, made the guys leave him alone. And our friendship, mine and Leon, started there and still goes on.
Let's go back to the music. Talking earlier about, it's been said that you guys knew about 2,000 or more songs. So I guess each concert was something different.
Oh yeah, you never had any set pattern of what songs you're going to do. No time. We'd play a broadcast right here. You wouldn't know what tune he's going to play unless he got up and announced it. That was how much you knew. You didn't know nothing about it at all till he got up, or at least maybe step up there and start playing. You didn't know what you was going to play. Never had a program. Wills couldn't function with a program written out.
Nothing was written down, none of the music.
No, he didn't have nothing. That was out, but he couldn't function that way. Kind of strange, isn't it? You'd think he could, but he couldn't function with. If you'd write a program out,
it wouldn't fit.
He wouldn't play it like you had it written out if he had told you how to write it.
Because that was his temperature connection with the crowd.
With the people. That's
You,
right.
you can't program them. You can program yourself, but you couldn't program them. He played to them.
Kept you guys on your toes, though.
Absolutely. Bet your booth. That made it enjoyable because you didn't sit there and go to sleep. Because you couldn't. He didn't let you.
Now most of Bob Wills' fame, or a lot of his fame, is that he was one of the first people to put country music next to city instruments. And
Big band. Yeah, that's right.
And back then, that was almost unheard of.
Yeah, it was, absolutely. And he had surrounded himself with some awful fine musicians, even horn men. He hired a bunch of guys off of Woody Herman's band, back when Herman was hotter than a pistol, right?
Yeah.
And then we went to California, and he went in this little club one night there at the Hotel Hollywood the Hollywood Plaza Hotel, Hollywood and Vine. And he heard a trumpet man in there, and that was what was his name? From Arkansas, the old boy that played.
Alex? No.
I can't think of his name now, but he heard this guy play it. He just went up and heard him right there over the bandstand.
We had J.B. McIntosh, Tubby Lewis, the best.
Oh yeah, best there was.
The best swing trumpet you ever heard.
It was great. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Bob didn't like the term Western swing, did he?
No, I don't think he did. What was it? Well, he was always talking. Here's what he always said about music. He said it's not the tunes doesn't designate to what it is. He says it's the people that's playing it that tells you whether it's jazz or Western swing or country or whatever. And that's one reason why for a long time he didn't want to play Nashville, because they had him categorized erroneously, he thought.
Yeah. No, it had to feel right to him.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's when he hired me. A fiddle man, he had a bull fiddle and a banjo. And, the only rhythm you get out of a bull fiddle at that time, when you depended on it, was he'd pull the string, and then slap the neck.
Let it hit.
And that was it, but that wasn't enough. Bob wanted the beat. And I don't care, I have to take my own little pride in it to not say anything about it, you know. But every time you hear anybody make any reference to any extent about Bob Wills' music, somewhere along the line come out is the beat of his music.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think, the guy that put that beat where Bob wanted it. And that was 2-beat, because I liked Dixieland, which is 2-beat rhythm. That's my preference to play. Because all the drummers thought you had to play
4/4. Yeah.
4/4 to swing. And you can swing with 2-beat 10-1 over what you can. You've seen people, Jack, come out to the edge of the dance floor, and they sit there and they rock back and forth, you know, listen to the music till they find a place to start. You never saw that in our band. When they hit the floor, they knew where the beat was and they started.
Yeah, that's right.
What about this place, Cain's Ballroom? What would that be every Saturday night? Describe that emotion.
Well, we played here, what, every Saturday or every Friday? No, wait a minute.
Well, here, played every Thursday night and every Saturday.
Thursday and every Saturday. Thursday night we'd play schottisches, square dances and stuff like that.
Shorty, square,
Till Smokey
round dance.
started dancing.
What was this like? Packed, smoky? Take me back to this.
I'll give you a little example. What was it? One year we played Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now what happened that year we had New Year's Eve came on Friday night, and then you'd play here on Saturday. You'd play here on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So one year, for the weeks, we played 3 nights a week here, and I think OW's the one that told me this. This thing would be packed solid people. You couldn't even, if there's dancing, you couldn't even see them dance. It was so crowded. They didn't even have room to dance. But this thing was, we had what? 3,000 people average for the, you put 3,000 people in here.
You put 1,200 in here, you got a crowd.
You put 3,000, we had average of 3,000 for those nights. Now that is unbelievable. And for the broadcast, you take on Saturday, solid people.
At noon. All the way.
Unbelievable.
From everywhere. Not just Tulsa.
No, it has to be from all over the country. Yeah, that's right.
You also said you played at funerals.
Yeah.
On the request for those.
We done this religious program every Thursday. Had a quartet. Bob played fiddle and he'd sing some religious songs. People were always calling, wanting you to play a funeral. Of course, Sunday was your only day off. Wasn't too happy about it, but we played them just the same, didn't we?
Well, you know that, they don't do that anymore, but back then, most all funerals were on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's when they had funerals on Sunday all the time.
Yeah.
What songs would you play at a funeral?
Religious songs.
Religious songs that we played on the new program.
If you go to church, any and all the same old songs they always play. You know, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, all of them. That's.
They could cheer.
Bob would always sing No Disappointment in Heaven.
Yeah.
That was his favorite
Always.
song. He always sang that. But that's just, I guess, dealing with the family entertainment. You had to say that the old man he really went for them families, you know. That was his thing. And, you know, in the early days, people would bring their kids to these places here, and they'd put pallets all around and have them on the bandstand everywhere. Put their kids to sleep, let them lay up there. And
the bandstand would just be lined about 2 or 3 deep with babies sleeping.
That's right. So people, of course, then it got to where when they started selling beer, they couldn't do that anymore. See, they wouldn't allow them to do that. But man, that's the way it was, you know. I mean, it was just a family deal. That's all. I guess that's what you have to call it.
Well, we knew them all too well, and Bob knew them all too well. If there was death, the family.
Oh yeah.
If they wanted us to come, we
if
went.
If they wanted you to play, we played a lot of Arkansas, and oh yeah, we played it. Changing that.
You both referred to Bob's drinking, and was that a problem?
Well, I'll give you a little example. I joined, when the first job I played with Bob's band was in 37, or was it 37?
Yeah. He wasn't drinking then.
No, he wasn't drinking. We played out here at Johnny Mullen's place.
Yeah, Crystal City.
Crystal City. Well, I got there, and I was late getting there, but Bob wasn't there. So, I just waited until he got there. I just set my guitar down. I didn't know any of the other guys. Bob's the only one I knew. So, I just set my guitar down, and pretty soon here come Bob, just like a house on fire. Man, he was ready, you know. He was ready to blow because he was drunk. And a lot of the guys that was on the band had never saw him drunk before, right?
No.
I was surprised, you know. They said, well, we never saw him drunk before. So anyway, I didn't get up there till he got there, and he said, come up. He saw me, and he said, come up here, you. So I climbed up there and played, and then when he left, I left. And I didn't stay and collect my money, so O.W. called me about a month later and said, hey, you never did come up here and collect your money. I said, Bob told me to call you and tell you to get up here and get your money. Well, I didn't think I'd earned anything. But he had a, we saw him, I mean, well, Smokey was on a band. You saw him go maybe 3 or 4 years, never take a drink, and then he might get drunk every weekend for...
Yeah. Well, really, that's when the pressure began to get to him.
Yeah.
The demands were so big. It just kept getting heavier and heavier all the time.
Yeah, it's hard for him.
His band saw that side of him, but he never brought that across on
Well, not really, but they all do it. Take all your big band leaders. Take Willie Nelson. Okay, what kind of crowd does Willie Nelson draw? He draws pot smokers, right? Bob always drew drinkers.
Yeah.
That's right. That's all. They were drinkers, and then you had other people that, other artists that drew certain other kind of people. Bob drew. I'll tell you what. We used to play a job, and Bob wasn't going to be there, and I'd get up and tell him. I said, Bob ain't going to be here. If any of you want your money back, get it. And people. If you'd get up and tell him he's sick, it made him mad. But if you got up and told him he's drunk, they were happy. Boy, they'd just clap their hands, hey, old man's drunk. And they'd just start dancing around the jig. That's kind of strange, ain't it? But that's the way it was. That's really the true story.
We played places, you know, where you weren't allowed to drink, you know? You weren't allowed to drink. And we was up on the bandstand seat. Okay, so they'd put it in a flat bottle, and put a cork in it, drill a hole in the cork, and put a little plastic tube down in there, put it in their inside coat pocket, you know, and they dance by to get up from the...
Ruined your microphone there.
Get up in front of the bandstand where the bouncer couldn't see them, and they pull that straw out, you know, and drank anyway. It didn't make any difference.
But you know, it's...
How much time do you have left on the stage?